The Awakening. The crimson light of Haven's twin suns cast long shadows across the underground city's entrance as Commander Sarah Mitchell watched the latest atmospheric readings scroll across her tablet. 3 centuries of terraforming had barely made a dent in the planet's harsh environment. Above ground, fierce storms still raged across rust-colored plains, while the air remained thin and bitterly cold. But it was home, the only home humanity had known for the past millennium. Sarah's comm unit chimed softly. "Commander," Dr. James Chen's voice crackled through, excitement evident despite the static. "We found something in the deep excavation, level 47. You need to see this." Minutes later, Sarah stood in a freshly carved tunnel, staring at a seamless metallic sphere embedded in the rock wall. Ancient human markings decorated its surface, impossible markings. The sphere's polished surface showed no sign of the 1,000 years it had spent buried beneath Haven's surface. "It's pre-Exodus technology," James explained, running his scanner over the sphere's surface. "But the energy signature, I've never seen anything like it. It's still active, Commander." Sarah's heart raced. Their colony's historical records were fragmented, but everyone knew the story of the Exodus. When the Collective, a federation of advanced alien species, had deemed humanity too dangerous to join galactic society, they turned Earth into a molten wasteland. The survivors had fled to Haven, taking only what technology they could carry. Everything else had been lost. Or so they'd thought. "Can we access it?" Sarah asked, studying the strange symbols etched into the sphere's surface. James nodded, gesturing to a circular panel. "I believe this is an interface port, compatible with our systems, if you can believe it. Someone wanted us to find this." Sarah took a deep breath. 1,000 years of hiding, of careful survival, had made their people cautious, but she hadn't become commander by avoiding risks. "Do it." As James connected his tablet to the sphere, the ancient device hummed to life. A holographic display materialized before them, showing a face Sarah had seen countless times in historical archives. Dr. Elena Santos, the legendary scientist who had led the Exodus. "If you're seeing this message," the recording began, "it means humanity has survived. And it means you're ready for the truth." The hologram's eyes seemed to pierce straight through Sarah. "Everything you know about the fall of Earth is a lie." The next hour passed in a blur as Dr. Santos revealed the true history of humanity's exile. The Collective hadn't attacked Earth because they feared human violence. They'd struck because their scans had detected something extraordinary: human potential for rapid evolutionary advancement. Their scientists had discovered that human consciousness itself was capable of affecting quantum probability fields, an ability that could eventually rival the Collective's most advanced technologies. "They didn't want to destroy us," Dr. Santos explained, her holographic face tight with controlled anger. "They wanted to control us, to study us. The attack on Earth was meant to traumatize our species, to make us fear our own potential. This sphere contains everything they didn't want us to know. The true capabilities of the human mind, technologies they claimed were impossible, and most importantly, the key to unlocking our quantum abilities." Sarah's mind reeled as the implications sank in. Their entire civilization had been built on a foundation of carefully engineered fear. They weren't victims. They were prisoners who had locked themselves in their own cell. "There's more," James said softly as the hologram faded. "The sphere contains detailed technical schematics, scientific theorems, cultural archives. Everything we lost, everything we could have become, it's all here." Sarah stood in silence, weighing the magnitude of their discovery. For 1,000 years, humanity had hidden on Haven, believing they were lucky survivors of a justified punishment. How many generations had lived and died, never knowing their true potential? Her comm unit crackled again. "Commander," a worried voice reported, "long-range sensors are picking up unusual activity in the outer rim. Energy signatures matching collective vessels." Sarah looked at James, saw her own mix of fear and determination reflected in his eyes. The timing couldn't be coincidence. Had their discovery somehow triggered ancient warning systems? Or had the collective always known where they were, content to let humanity stay contained in their self-imposed prison? "Download everything," she ordered, her voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through her veins. "Then get this data to our best scientists. It's time humanity remembered who we really are." As James worked, Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. They had spent centuries learning to survive on Haven. Now they would learn to thrive. And when they were ready, when they had unlocked the potential that had terrified the collective so long ago, they would show the galaxy that humanity's greatest strength wasn't violence or revenge. It was hope. Hope, and the unshakable determination to rise above any challenge, no matter the odds. The true awakening of humanity had begun. Rising from ashes. 6 months after the sphere's discovery, Haven was transforming. Deep beneath the planet's surface, newly excavated chambers hummed with energy as quantum processors decoded more of the sphere's vast database. Commander Sarah Mitchell stood in the heart of the new quantum research facility, watching as Dr. Maya Patel demonstrated humanity's first successful consciousness-enhanced probability field. A simple metal cube floated between Maya's outstretched hands, surrounded by a shimmering field of quantum energy. The breakthrough came when we stopped thinking of quantum manipulation as technology, Maya explained, her dark eyes bright with excitement. It's more like awakening a dormant sense we always had. The cube shifted, its molecular structure rippling like water before reforming into a complex geometric shape that shouldn't have been possible under normal physics. Sarah felt a chill run down her spine. This was why the collective had feared them so much. Human consciousness could literally reshape reality. How many others have shown the ability? Sarah asked, already calculating the strategic implications. About 30% of our population shows immediate aptitude, Maya replied. With training, we believe most humans can develop some level of quantum sensitivity. The younger generations are particularly receptive. Their conversation was interrupted by James Chen's urgent arrival. "Commander, you need to see this." He quickly pulled up a holographic display showing deep space sensor readings. "We've confirmed that collective vessels have established a permanent presence in the outer rim. They're searching for something." "For us," Sarah said grimly. "They must have detected our quantum experiments." She studied the sensor data, noting the search patterns. "How long until they find Haven?" "At their current rate," James calculated quickly, "maybe 8 months. But that's not all." He gestured, and the display shifted to show a massive structure being assembled in deep space. "They're building something big out there. Early analysis suggests it's some kind of quantum dampening array." Sarah's jaw tightened. The collective wasn't just looking for them. They were preparing to ensure humanity would never threaten them again. But this time, humanity wouldn't be caught unprepared. "Show me our progress on the defense initiatives," she ordered. The holographic display transformed, showing schematics for Haven's rapidly expanding underground infrastructure. What had begun as scattered survival bunkers had evolved into an intricate network of advanced research facilities, manufacturing centers, and military installations. The crown jewel was the quantum shipyard, where the first vessels of humanity's new fleet were taking shape. Unlike conventional spacecraft, these ships were partially phase-shifted, existing simultaneously in multiple probability states until observed. They were virtually impossible to detect and could rewrite their own tactical reality in the heat of battle. "The Phantom is ready for its first test flight," James reported, bringing up the specs for their prototype vessel. "And the quantum shielding network around Haven will be operational within 2 months." Sarah nodded, but her mind was already racing ahead to their next challenges. "What about Project Legacy?" Maya stepped forward, manipulating the holographic display to show a sprawling virtual network. "The quantum entanglement communication system is expanding faster than we hoped. We've successfully established hidden relay points in 12 star systems. Once it's complete, we'll be able to coordinate resistance cells across the galaxy without the collective detecting a single transmission. It was almost overwhelming how quickly things were moving. The sphere hadn't just given them advanced technology. It had shown them how to accelerate their own development, tapping into humanity's natural capacity for rapid adaptation and innovation. But with each breakthrough came new risks. Sarah could see the strain on her people's faces as they raced against time, pushing themselves to master in months what should have taken decades. The younger generations were particularly affected, their emerging quantum ability sometimes manifesting in unpredictable ways. We need to accelerate the evacuation plans, Sarah decided. Even with our new defenses, we can't risk keeping our entire population on Haven. How many of the backup colonies are ready? James consulted his data. 3 are fully operational, with 2 more nearly complete. All in systems the collective considers uninhabitable. The quantum terraforming techniques are working better than we expected. Sarah allowed herself a moment of pride. In just 6 months, they had accomplished what the collective had deemed impossible. But she couldn't shake the feeling that they were still missing something crucial. Maya, she turned to the quantum physicist. You said human consciousness interacts naturally with quantum fields. Could the collective detect that interaction across interstellar distances? Maya's eyes widened as she grasped the implication. The search patterns, she breathed. They're not following technological signatures. They are following the quantum wake of our awakening abilities. Then we need to learn to hide our quantum signature, Sarah stated firmly. And we need to do it before they reach Haven. Because one thing is certain. She looked at the holographic display of the approaching collective fleet. This time, we're not running. As if in response to her words, a subtle tremor ran through the facility. Far above, Haven's twin suns cast their eternal crimson light across the planet's surface, while deep below, humanity prepared for a confrontation a millennium in the making. The question wasn't whether they would survive. It was whether the galaxy was ready for humanity's true awakening. Hidden alliances. The Nexus-class stealth ship glided silently through the debris field of a long-dead star system, its quantum-shifted hull rendering it invisible to conventional sensors. On the bridge, Commander Sarah Mitchell watched as the ship's AI mapped the scattered fragments of what had once been a thriving civilization. The collective's handiwork, Chief Intelligence Officer Ria Santos observed grimly. The Meridians refused to share their biotech research. 3 days later, their star mysteriously went nova. Sarah's jaw tightened. In the months since discovering the truth about Earth's destruction, they had uncovered countless similar accidents in the collective's history. Any species that showed too much independence or technological progress was quietly eliminated. A soft chime from the sensor array interrupted her dark thoughts. Commander, the ship's AI announced, I'm detecting quantum resonance patterns consistent with conscious manipulation. Origin point, bearing 047, range 12,000 kilometers, similar to our own signature. Sarah asked, leaning forward. No, but utilizing comparable principles. Whoever they are, they're trying to hide just like us. Sarah exchanged glances with Rita. They had come to this system following encrypted transmissions suggesting other species might be secretly resisting the collective, but finding another quantum-capable civilization was beyond their expectations. Take us in, Sarah ordered. Passive sensors only. As they approached the source of the quantum signature, a massive asteroid slowly materialized through their sensor screens. But this was no ordinary space rock. Its interior had been hollowed out and transformed into a hidden base. Before they could decide how to proceed, a transmission cut through their secured channels with impossible precision. Human vessel, a melodic voice spoke in perfect English. You have come far seeking allies. We have been expecting you. Moments later, Sarah found herself face to face with the Viridians, a species everyone believed had been wiped out by the collective centuries ago. Their crystalline bodies pulsed with internal light as they moved, and their faceted eyes seemed to see straight through quantum probability fields. We recognize the awakening of your quantum abilities, their leader, Ark of Berazix, explained. It mirrors our own path, though we achieved it through biological evolution rather than consciousness manipulation. The Viridian base proved to be a hub of hidden resistance. Sarah learned that dozens of species had survived the collective's purges, each developing their own methods of concealment. The Meridians hadn't been destroyed. They had faked their civilization's death, preserving their greatest minds in quantum stasis. The Kithori, master strategists once feared by the collective, had fractured their consciousness across multiple quantum states to escape detection. We have waited long for others to reach this level of development, Six continued. The collective's dominance relies on keeping species isolated, preventing us from combining our unique approaches to quantum manipulation. Sarah's mind raced with possibilities. Our quantum entanglement communication network, could it be adapted to link all of our hidden worlds? A ripple of excitement passed through the Viridian's crystalline forms. Better, Zix replied. With your consciousness-based quantum manipulation and our biological quantum processing, we could create something unprecedented. A galactic quantum web that exists outside normal spacetime. The implications were staggering. Such a network wouldn't just allow communication. It could coordinate military strikes across vast distances, share technological breakthroughs instantly, and create a unified resistance powerful enough to challenge the collective's dominion. But as the various species shared their knowledge and capabilities, Sarah noticed something curious. Each race had developed quantum abilities that complemented the others perfectly, almost too perfectly. It's not a coincidence, Rhea whispered, having noticed the same pattern. The collective didn't just fear our individual potential. They feared what would happen if we ever joined forces. The piece Sarah had been missing clicked into place. The collective hadn't failed to eliminate these species. They had deliberately left survivors, scattered and hiding, believing they were alone. It was the ultimate containment strategy. Let each species develop in isolation, forever afraid to reach out to potential allies. But that strategy had just backfired spectacularly. Over the next weeks, the alliance grew rapidly. The Viridian's hidden base became a crucible of innovation as different species combined their quantum technologies in ways the collective had never imagined possible. The Kithori's fractured consciousness techniques merged with human quantum probability manipulation, creating warriors who could literally choose the most advantageous future from infinite possibilities. Meridian biotech enhanced by Viridian crystalline computing produced ships that were practically alive, capable of healing and evolving during battle. Yet with each breakthrough came sobering news. The collective's quantum dampening array was nearing completion, a weapon that could permanently sever a species' connection to quantum fields, trapping them in a single powerless reality. They know they're losing control, Zix observed as they reviewed the intelligence reports. They will activate the array soon, trying to end this before we grow too powerful. Sarah stood at the viewport, watching ships of various species moving through the asteroid field in perfect coordination, their quantum signatures harmonizing in ways that would have seemed impossible months ago. The collective had spent millennia keeping them apart, believing diversity was a weakness to be controlled. They were about to learn just how wrong they had been. Begin the evacuation of Haven, she ordered, and send word through the quantum web. Tell every hidden world, every resistance cell, it's time to show the collective what happens when they unite the very powers they sought to divide. The revolution wouldn't just reshape the galaxy. It would rewrite the very laws of reality itself. The first strike. The quantum web rippled with coordinated intent as the combined fleet of the Hidden Alliance materialized around the collective's primary shipyard at Nexus Prime. Commander Sarah Mitchell stood on the bridge of the Defiance, humanity's first quantum dreadnought, watching as ships of a dozen different species shifted through probability states in perfect synchronization. Viridian crystalline vessels pulsed with living light, their hulls refracting reality itself. Kithori quantum ghost ships existed in multiple tactical positions simultaneously, impossible to target. The Meridian's bioorganic cruisers adapted and evolved even as they moved into attack formation. And at the center, the human fleet's consciousness-enhanced vessels prepared to demonstrate why the collective had feared them for so long. Quantum dampening array is at 87% completion. Rhea reported from her station, her fingers dancing through holographic displays. Once it's operational, it will affect this entire sector of space. Sarah nodded grimly. Then we stick to the plan. We're not here to destroy the array. We're here to steal it. The collective's response to their arrival was predictably overwhelming. Hundreds of ships emerged from the massive shipyard complex, their conventional weapons systems looking almost primitive compared to the quantum-enhanced technologies of the Alliance. They're broadcasting on all frequencies, the ship's AI announced. They're offering amnesty if we surrender immediately. A ripple of amusement passed through the quantum web linking the Allied fleet. The collective still didn't understand what they were facing. They thought this was a conventional military assault. They hadn't realized it was something far more sophisticated. Begin Phase 1, Sarah ordered. Across the battlefield, Alliance ships began shifting quantum states in carefully calculated patterns. To the collective sensors, it appeared as though the Allied fleet was attempting a complex flanking maneuver. Their forces responded exactly as predicted, moving to intercept. But the real attack was happening on a quantum level. The Viridian's crystalline ships began resonating at specific frequencies, creating subtle distortions in local spacetime. The Kithori quantum ghosts multiplied those distortions across probability fields. Meridian vessels channeled the resulting quantum flux through their biological processors, and human consciousness-enhanced ships directed the combined effect with precise intention. Reality itself began to warp. The collective ships found themselves trapped in a quantum cascade, their conventional weapons passing harmlessly through Allied vessels that existed in slightly different phases of reality. Their communications were redirected through temporal loops, orders arriving hours after they were given or before they were issued. Phase 2, Sarah commanded as the collective fleet fell into confusion. This was where humanity's unique abilities proved decisive. While other species could manipulate quantum fields through technology or natural evolution, humans could actively choose which probability became reality. Thousands of human minds linked through the quantum web, sifting through possible futures, selecting the exact sequence of events needed for victory. The Allied fleet moved with impossible precision, each ship exactly where it needed to be at exactly the right moment. Collected vessels found themselves facing enemies that seemed to know their tactics before they executed them, that could choose the most advantageous outcome from infinite possibilities. Commander, Rhea called out suddenly, detecting massive power fluctuations from the array. They're trying to bring it online early. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Right on schedule. Signal the Meridian infiltration teams. Throughout the battle, microscopic Meridian bioships had been quietly attaching themselves to the array's surface. Now they began interfacing with its systems, their organic quantum processors rewriting its core programming. The collective's greatest weapon activated with a pulse of energy that rippled across space and did absolutely nothing to the Allied fleet. Array control has been transferred to Allied systems, the AI confirmed. Quantum dampening fields are ready to deploy on our command. On the main viewer, Sarah watched as understanding dawned among the collective forces. Their ultimate defense had just become the Alliance's most powerful weapon. With a single command, they could cut off the collective's access to quantum technology while preserving their own. Open a channel to the collective fleet, Sarah ordered. I want them to understand exactly what happens next. The face that appeared on the screen belonged to a high administrator of the collective, their multiple eyes wide with disbelief. This is impossible, they declared. Our models showed none of you could achieve this level of quantum manipulation for at least another 1,000 years. Your models were based on isolated development. Sarah replied calmly. You never calculated what would happen when we worked together. When we combined human consciousness with Viridian crystalline computing, Kithori quantum ghosting, and Meridian biotechnology, you spent so long keeping us apart, you forgot why you feared our unity in the first place. She leaned forward, letting her words sink in. Your ships are surrounded. Your ultimate weapon is under our control. You have a choice to make. Administrator, surrender and help us build a galaxy where all species can develop freely, or find out what happens when we really start using our combined potential. The quantum web hummed with shared triumph as the collective fleet powered down their weapons. The first strike had succeeded beyond their wildest expectations, but Sarah felt no joy in their victory, only determination. This was just the beginning. Because even as the collective ships surrendered, long-range sensors detected massive fleet movements throughout the galaxy. The collective's central authority was mobilizing for full-scale war. They would not surrender their power easily. The true test of the Alliance's unity was about to begin. A new dawn. 3 days after the Battle of Nexus Prime, the quantum web blazed with activity as the hidden Alliance prepared for the collective's response. In the converted asteroid base that served as the Alliance's headquarters, Commander Sarah Mitchell studied the tactical display showing thousands of collective warships converging on their position from every corner of the galaxy. They're abandoning all their territories, Rhea noted, highlighting the massive fleet movements. Even their core worlds are being stripped of defenses, because they finally understand what they're facing. Archive-bearer Zix's crystalline form shimmered as the Viridian leader joined them. This is no longer about controlling the galaxy, it's about their survival. The quantum web suddenly pulsed with urgent information. The collective's response had begun, but not in the way anyone expected. Across countless worlds, ancient quantum beacons were activating, devices hidden so deep in planetary cores that even the collective had forgotten about them. These are first-age technologies. Zix's crystalline structure flickered with alarm. From before the collective, when each species was first achieving quantum awareness, the beacons unleashed waves of quantum energy that began reshaping local space-time. Stars flickered as reality itself wavered, threatening to collapse into chaos. The collective wasn't just mounting a military response. They were willing to destroy the fabric of space-time itself rather than lose control. They're trying to force a quantum reset. Maya Patel's voice shook as she interpreted the readings. If those beacons fully activate, they'll rewrite history. Everything we've accomplished will be undone. Sarah felt the weight of the moment press down on her. This was what the collective had always feared. Not just that humanity or any other species would grow too powerful, but that together they might discover this ultimate failsafe. There's something else, Rhea added, her face pale. The quantum signatures. They're familiar. These beacons, they're using the same principles as our consciousness-based quantum manipulation. Understanding dawned across the command center. The collective hadn't invented quantum technology. They had stolen it from ancient humanity, then buried the evidence so deep that humanity itself forgot its true potential. How long do we have? Sarah asked. The reality cascade will reach critical point in 6 hours, Maya replied. After that, there's no stopping it. Sarah straightened, her decision made. Then we don't stop it. We redirect it. She turned to the assembled Alliance leaders. The collective thinks they can use humanity's own quantum legacy against us. Let's show them why that's a mistake. The plan came together with desperate speed. While the Allied fleet engaged the collective armada, teams of quantum-sensitive humans would link with Viridian crystals and Meridian bioprocessors, using Kithori probability manipulation to reach the beacons. Instead of trying to shut them down, they would synchronize with them, turning the reality cascade into a controlled quantum revolution. As the battle began, Sarah stood in the quantum synchronization chamber aboard the Defiance, her mind linked to thousands of others through the quantum web. Around her, reality blurred as multiple timelines began to overlap. The space battle unfolding around them existed in dozens of quantum states simultaneously. Alliance ships phased between realities, striking at the collective fleet from parallel timelines. The collective responded with weapons that erased entire probability streams, but they couldn't match the unified consciousness of the Alliance forces. Deep beneath the surface of worlds scattered across the galaxy, human consciousness merged with ancient quantum beacons. Sarah felt every connection through the quantum web. Her mind expanded beyond normal perception. She saw the true scope of space-time, not a single timeline, but an infinite web of possibilities. The collective had spent millennia trying to control this web, pruning away futures they deemed too dangerous. But they had never understood its true nature. The quantum field wasn't meant to be controlled, it was meant to be harmonized with. As the reality cascade reached its peak, Sarah directed the combined consciousness of humanity through the quantum web. They didn't fight the wave of change. They rode it, shaping it with the combined quantum technologies of all allied species. Space itself shimmered as multiple timelines merged and separated. When reality stabilized, the galaxy had changed. Not erased or rewritten, but transformed. The quantum barriers the collective had placed between species dissolved. The artificial limits they had placed on development vanished. The collective fleet hung motionless in space, their weapons powered down, their crews experiencing the true quantum nature of reality for the first time. Without their systems of control and separation, they were simply another group of species awakening to their full potential. Sarah opened her eyes in the synchronization chamber, her mind gradually returning to normal perception. Through the quantum web, she felt the ripples of change spreading across the galaxy. Species that had been locked in artificial evolutionary stasis for millennia were awakening. Hidden quantum abilities were surfacing in populations that had been systematically suppressed. What happens now? Rhea asked softly as they watched the collective ships begin to power down. Now we build something new, Sarah replied, feeling the quantum web pulse with possibility. Not an empire or a collective, but a true alliance, where every species is free to develop their potential, and our differences make us stronger together. The ancient quantum beacons, now harmonized with the combined consciousness of the alliance, settled into a new configuration. They became the foundation of a galaxy-wide quantum network, ensuring that no species would ever again be isolated or suppressed. 1,000 years of hiding had led to this moment. Humanity had not only reclaimed its destiny, it had helped forge a new future for all sentient species. The dawn of a new age had arrived, built not on control and fear, but on unity and unlimited potential. As Haven's twin suns rose over the horizon, their light seemed brighter somehow, illuminating a galaxy forever changed by the power of consciousness, cooperation, and the unshakable human spirit.